For the very, very young brand that we are, HYT, it's the first time we are in Central Europe, so we're very pleased and very happy to introduce you to this very new technology, this groundbreaking technology in our great industry of watchmaking. It all starts with a very simple vision. If there is anything to remember about us, is this simple vision that HYT stands for the first brand to mix fluids and mechanical watches and mechanical engineering. It's a simple vision that started, and I need you to take back to Switzerland 12 years ago, in 2002. And for once, watch brand doesn't start in the Jura Mountains. For once, it starts on a lake. And 12 years ago, we had in Switzerland the Great National Exhibition. The Great National Exhibition is when great brains of Switzerland reinvent design, entertainment, culture. So it happened on 3 lakes where Neuchâtel, Bienne, and probably you know these cities because in Bienne you have the headquarters of the Swatch Group, you have the manufacturer of Rolex, you have the headquarters of Omega. In Neuchâtel you have great brands like Panerai, Bulgari, to name a few. In the same county you have many other brands from Gérard Perregaux to Corum or to Zenith, to name a few. And it happened on the lake. All the exhibition went on the lake. And Lucien Vouillamot, who's here with us, Lucien, if you can raise your hand. He's the inventor of the technology. He was on this lake. He's a nuclear scientist. He's not a watchmaker at all. He's a nuclear scientist, and he had this idea. Wow, all this water, all this watchmaking, and nobody thought about mixing the two, putting water to make the water works and to show time, to display time. So, as I told you, he's a nuclear scientist, and it was the beginning of the story between 2 worlds that never worked together, or very little. It's the world of traditional watchmaking, huge heritage in Switzerland in our regions, and the world of chemistry, the world of nuclear science, the world of technology, tech meds, that had to collaborate for the first time in order to make this vision happen. So Lucien thought of solutions for many years, and thanks to a great team that was starting to being built up, we made it possible for the ancient clepsydras, showing time since the pharaohs, displaying time with water, since 3,500 years to re-emerge on the wristwatch. And to do that, we needed to work on very, very special components. So to make it very short, one of the first challenges was if you put water in a watch, which is the most stupid idea that you can think of when you think about water resistance and all these challenges, watchmakers fear water, they want to avoid water. We put it back in the watch. So we need very, very special components, strong components, but at the same time completely hermetical and flexible. Where do we find that? So one of these first challenges was finding a very small bellow. That's a tank, it's a reservoir that is flexible, comes from the space industry. These little things are in speed captors from space shuttles. So thanks to our links to the world of the medical science and engineering, we were able to source these kind of little components. These are the little bellows. They're made in the USA. For once, I can say they're not Swiss-made, but we're not at all ashamed of the fact that they're super high-tech component. Then, these little tanks, they have each one of them one fluid, non-miscible fluids. You have a water-based fluid, and you have, to put it short, an oil-based fluid. They have a different density. They would not mix. We have each one of these tanks holds one of the liquids. And by putting them together in what we call a fluidic module, we have a completely sealed display of liquid. The energy, I will discuss that later, comes from the mechanical part. This is the fluidic module. This is 8 years of research, more than 8 patents. That's what we make in-house with our sister company, Pressiflex. The glass tube is another big challenge. It's a very, very small diameter glass tube of less than 1 millimeter. So again, huge research to figure out how to make liquids flow evenly in these very small capillaries. We needed to put 31 different chemical components in different coatings inside the glass tube, less than 1 millimeter diameter. Coatings that will allow the liquids to flow back and forth in the capillary. When you put everything together, you have even more surprises and even bigger challenges. For example, the temperature. That's another challenge. Liquids will tend to extend or to retract when it's cold. So we invented and patented a very small device, which is a thermical compensator that will expand or retract according to the temperature, keeping the level of the bellow and, by the way, the level of the fluid at the optimized distance, so that it will not be affected by temperature. Here you see the reservoir. We put one liquid here, we seal it, and then you have this thermic compensator. Then you have a lever and you have a snail cam. And the snail cam is the way we transfer the energy of the watch from the mechanical movement onto the snail cam that will then move gradually this bellow, pressing it. And when it arrives at 6 p.m. or 6 a.m., after 12 hours, the snail cam will free the lever. The two bellows, the two tanks, thanks to their flexibility, will rebalance themselves, and the whole liquid comes back together. So it's a fluidic retrograde. You move up the liquid 12 hours, and after 12 hours, we release the tension, and everything flows back. So it's very simple, but very complicated to realize. Very challenging. Hybrid technology that then we had to imagine with a very small, compact, and strong movement. Because these bellows, these tanks need a lot of torque, need a lot of energy to be pressed. 10 times more basically than a hand. So we realized this movement. We don't do it in-house, but we realized it with Jean-François Maujon from Chrono. Jean-François Maujon is one of the greatest watchmakers in Switzerland. His company did, for example, the Opus 10 a few years back. And we realized this compact 65 hours power reserve movement that transfers the energy from the movement onto the piston and onto the bellow. This is what we call a new complication in the industry. You see these two hemispheres, the northern hemisphere, which is purely watchmaking. This is the movement. We respect all the traditional codes, angled bridges, Côte de Genève finishes. And the southern hemisphere is all the new technology, the fluidic technology, the two bellows, the capillaries. So how do you read it? You have here the reservoir, the tanks. The fluid shows the hour. It's 10. The minutes are shown here by the minute hand. It's 10 past 10. You have a small water mill-like wheel showing the seconds and the power reserve. So this is our first caliber. It's called the H1. And we started the adventure in late 2012. And it was a great start because we were honored to win the Grand Prix de l'Horlogerie de Genève for the best innovation of the year that year. And with this 48 millimeters diameter watch, we entered a new era. I mean, in all humility, we are since a long time a new complication, a new true innovation in watchmaking, allowing us to introduce for the first time the fluid. The fluid hour is just the beginning. We wanted to start with a simple idea, to display time with the fluid. But all the doors are open for us, and we are, of course, going to come with many more innovations involving fluids and mechanical watches. Hydromechanical stands for many new developments and groundbreaking technologies. Be it the bellows that were never used, special alloys, flexible metallic components. The coating of these little things is so precise that if you change by few microns, not even, the coating, it's too hard to press, it won't move. If you change a little bit thinner, you might have a problem involving leakage. So the precision, the chemical coatings, the mechanical engineering, the thermic compensator, all these are groundbreaking technologies that since now 2 years, Lucien Vuillamot, the teams of Chronode, or the teams at Audemars Piguet Renault Papy, with who we realized the second caliber that we introduced this year, are working. This year we introduced new colors also. A new color seems a very easy thing. Pigment, a dye, can be found in 5 minutes. But to make work a new color in these very small capillaries, this is more than 1.5 years research and development, because you change all the physical properties of the water-based that will react differently with the coatings, that will react differently with the oil-based transparent liquid. Today we started the adventure. We were 3 in the office, and it seemed pretty big. Now we just moved. We're 30. We're 15 in the lab, in the research and the department, sister company Pressiflex, and 15 in product development, sales, marketing, and all the such. The mechanical partnerships are huge. I just mentioned before that the second caliber, we work it with Giulio Papi and Audemars Piguet Renault Papy. Giulio Papi is definitely one of the greatest brains in watchmaking currently. We're so pleased that we have this collaboration with Audemars Piguet Renault Papy. The H2 that we developed has been launched this year, and we are already working on different generations with Giulio and his team, of course. So shortly, the collection starts to be bigger and bigger. We started with four models, basically on titanium DLC, gold, and two-tone, to then start having the new materials. We work composite materials with very funky colors that will allow us new developments this year. Polyepoxide, yellow, which is a resin 3 times harder than titanium and 4 times lighter than titanium, which is very interesting to work. We are launching this year also the H2. The H2 is a much more integrated mechanism. You don't see the northern hemisphere only about mechanical engineering and the southern hemisphere about fluidic engineering. Everything is integrated. It answers the question of the energy. To move the bellows, we need a lot of energy. So to make more complications, to add on new modules, we needed more energy. With Giulio Papi, we did a movement by opening the 2 bellows in a V shape and lifting them up. We had more space for a double barrel, 8 days power reserve. More energy allows us for more developments, either movement of the fluid or movement additional complications. So this is our retrograde with a central minute hand, has a jumping section here. It's the first time Audemars Piguet Renault Papy is doing something like that. Déphaseur angulaire, crown position indicator, thermical indicator, and balance wheel, balance spring at 12 o'clock. Other interesting materials, alloys, Allen, this is zirconium, aluminum, and titanium alloy, which provides lightness, resistance. And then new colors. I told you about the red color. This is a new development for us. A watch called Dracula that will be launched later this summer. The iceberg in blue, for example, received a lot of acclamation during Basel World this year. This is a little piece. I stop 1 second on that because before I told you the resin we use on the yellow watch, the very bright watch. We use it on this watch by putting sand inside. We're able with this resin to put whatever you want. Grass, tobacco, potato, whatever. And then you have a case which is very particular. We had the idea with a retailer in Saint-Barth in the Caribbean to put sand from the beach. So we put sand on that resin, and then we're able to cut the parts of this resin and have a perfect case with the sand of this particular beach. Gives a very interesting introduction for a small series. So H2 grows also, the family, different colors of fluids, different materials, and this year will allow us to have a collection of around 20 references launched throughout the year. We have a particular position in this market. We are in the independent brands, of course, as we don't belong to any big group, in a price positioning between average price points of Audemars Piguet, for example, but much less than, for example, a Richard Mille, which would be one of the famous names in the independent panel of brands, which allowed us a very aggressive introduction in the market in the first year of our existence. With this groundbreaking technology, we were able to have good support from the press and from the media in general, watchmaking and international media. And today we are in about 40 doors already. We just opened a subsidiary in Southeast Asia this month, and allowing us further developments in areas of the world. As Mr. Zanetta pointed out, sometimes movies are giving us more insight than words. I will share with you So here we are. So thank you very much for your attention. And if there are any questions at all to me or to Lucien, the inventor, we'll gladly answer any of those. Yes?
Okay, two small questions. Would you think of displaying minutes also with the liquid? And why didn't you start the liquid at 12 instead of 6?
So thank you. So why? Yes, we of course are thinking of moving the fluid technology to other indications than the hours, minutes, chronos, dates, calendars, different ways, not always round. We wanted to start with a round watch, easy to understand, and introducing this technology in an easy way. Why then we started the liquid at 6 and not at 12? Mostly for aesthetical reasons, because we would have to reverse the whole system, and starting at 12 didn't look that good. But of course, it could. Then we figured out, it's introducing also the notion that you start your day in the morning at 6, let's say, going up to, so you have a different reading of the time. By the way, when we started showing the piece, we were touched by the attention and the fact that we can relate to fluid and time in a very, very strong way. It's in us somehow. Time flows. And we display time also in a way that you see the time that was elapsed and the time that remains. You don't have a fixed indication, a strong indication, 2 minutes hands. You have something that is evolving, throughout the day, which is a new notion of also of reading the time. I hope it answers your question.
Proszę Państwa, jeśli... I would like to ask you about the service of the watch, because normally the watch we have to go to the service for once and for 2-3 years, and the HYT.
So rest assured, we don't need to change oil like in a car every 300 hours. So we do the same servicing and we thought the watch the same way as we have to think the watch in terms of resistance, in terms of durability, usability. So 2 or 3 years time, any watch needs to be oiled, needs to change some gaskets, etc. That's what we do.
company very much. So
Really good.
Nordic Dakar is very well known. Thank you.
Our partnership with FC Barcelona is truly very exciting. The passion, it's about precision, it's about quality.